5 2555 211 numaralı dahilide Kıbrıs gazetesi. Ülkenin en çok okunan gazetesi.
Good morning, it's Cyprus today. I'm Alessia Larina, and excuse me for being 25 minutes late. You know, probably if you live here and you watch us from here, today is the Peace and Freedom Day in Northern Cyprus. So right now you could see the parade that is going on in Lefkoşa at the moment, and there were speeches of some high official people here in Northern Cyprus. So I hope that you waited for this program, because today really I have very valuable, at least for me, guests. Ralph Kratzer and Caroline Houghton.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming. Turkish resident. You see, I made a mistake again because I was so much concentrated on Turkish probably. The foreign residents in TRNC. I'm very happy and I'm very glad to see you today. Willkommen. Welcome, hoş geldiniz for our Turkish viewers. Thank you very much for coming. Really, Ralph, I must admit that I've been waiting for you for a long time. And the first time when I invited you here, when I started working in Kibris TV, I think it was January or the beginning of February. And I told you, would you be my guest, please? And you said, I'm a bit far away. So please tell me, where have you been? And
well, I've been to Australia, and to make a 3-month holiday in Australia and New Zealand. In the end, it was 6.5 months because I couldn't come back to the island because our flight back should go on the 16th of March, and on the 13th of March I heard from Caroline that they closed the borders. So yeah, we had to stay another 2.5 months in Australia.
Yeah, and Caroline, I didn't present you, I mean your positions in the TFR organization, if I can say so. You're right now Internet and Marketing Manager, and Caroline is a General Secretary. And I know that you've been a General Secretary for years. Why did you change the positions?
I thought because I was Secretary for 6 years and this is enough. So I was looking for something else, and they needed somebody who does the whole Internet thing, you know. We had a website before, which I closed down because it was simply too much work for me. Instead of the website, I established our Facebook site, which is now running since 2017 very successfully.
Yeah.
And yeah, I try to keep our members informed about everything, what happens not only in the TFR, but in the TRNC, what is the daily business we are dealing with. At the moment with residency, for example, we try to help our members in difficult situations. That's it.
First of all, how long have you been living in Northern Cyprus?
I am living here now nearly 16 years. I came end of 2004, yeah, nearly 16 years.
Wow, and you, Caroline?
I've lived here about 5 years now.
But before you lived in Turkey?
Yes, I lived around this region, so I lived and worked in Turkey, Morocco, Jordan,
Wow.
Egypt.
You traveled a lot.
Yeah.
That's nice. So let's speak about your organization first. Foreign residents, the foreign residents in TRNC.
You get it.
Yeah, finally, after so many rehearsals, now I can pronounce it, and still I'm thinking, in order not I don't know why I want to say Turkish residents, the foreign because you know this T is mixing up my mind.
Yeah.
First T,
Yeah.
The foreign residents in TRNC. When was it founded, and what are the aims and objectives of your organization?
It was established in 1998, actually. So we are a registered society, doing everything right by the TRNC law, and with our constitution we had to change because they changed the rules for clubs and associations, so we had to do this several years ago. And yeah, actually in 1998 the TFR was founded to organize funerals. That was the reason, because the only association for foreigners in those days was the BRS, as far as I remember, and they had their own cemeteries, but they
You
would...
mean the one in the center of Kyrenia?
Yes, for example, this was the British cemetery, and they wouldn't let other nationalities in. So, and as far as I remember, a German lady died, and she couldn't be buried at the BRS cemetery. So, somebody who was also British, Brian Self, he said, we need an organization for foreigners who are not British. So that's why the TFR was founded originally. Now we do many more things than funerals, but it's still part of our
Sure.
organization to organize funerals for people who die in TRNC and are not Muslim, let's say, because
Okay.
they are not allowed to be buried in Muslim cemeteries. They have to be buried somewhere else, and we are looking after these things.
I think there is one cemetery in Lapta, if I'm not mistaken. for foreigners.
We have areas within each of the cemeteries in the main towns, not everyone yet, but where foreigners are concentrated. And we actually are responsible for people who, non-British people who die. The Belvedere will contact us and arrange funerals. So we actually arrange funerals for non-members as well as non-members, because there is nobody else in the island who can assist non-British foreigners.
This is very important, actually, because normally when people leave, they think that they will live forever. But unfortunately, time is same for everyone. But okay, we will leave that sad topic
Yes.
at the moment, and we'll go to something brighter. And
Yes, I
more-
mean, now we're much more a social organisation. So
Yeah.
now we have a number of social events throughout the year. Probably arranged 1 or 2 a month, and they're very well attended. They generally have a European flavour to them, I would say. So we have like Oktoberfest, we have a Scandinavian evening, we have a Christmas dinner and dance. So, but we have big events. Plus, we also meet both Fridays now at the Blue Song restaurant between 4 and 6, and also we meet in Çatalköy at Sultan's restaurant on a Wednesday between 3 and 5. And we've recently added one more meeting, which is once a month we meet at Tuncay in Yeri, which is opposite Sea Magic in Esentepe. So we're increasing the places where we meet, and this is a very, very good for our members to just be able to drop in and meet other members and just have a drink or a chat, and especially if you're new to the island, it's a good way to meet new people and make friends.
This is a very good idea to have foreign residents, not just Brits, not just German, not just Russians, but you have a mixture of nationalities. So do you know how many nationalities are in the organization, and how many members in total do you have?
I think we have 34 different nationalities as members, and we're now over 530 members, and it's growing all the time. So
How one can become a member?
All you need to do is fill in the membership form, bring it to one or other of the meetings, and it's 40 lira a year for membership, so it's very reasonably priced.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what we had a long discussion. I need to tell our viewers because my guests, Ralph and Caroline, came a bit earlier. Today it was very difficult to get into that studio because of the police was everywhere. They blocked the roads, and now we can hear the airplanes show probably. So, and after, because we had 25 minutes, we were late, so we discussed many things, and I said, I reminded Ralph that around 8 years ago, I came to one of those meetings and I became a member. I remember this, but I need to renew it after. Do I have to pay in the fine for 8 years?
No.
I will be new member probably.
You can join us.
You just
Remember,
restart
we will
the
let
process.
Okay, that's fine. So you make these social events, and what kind of questions people will ask you when what necessities they have, what are they coming with to you?
Yeah, well, at the moment there are two main topics they have. First is for the people who are still stranded abroad and cannot come back or don't know what is the best and easiest way to come back to TRNC. These, I call it repatriation. There are still a lot of people, Caroline can tell you, after this repatriation flight on the 23rd of June, there are still a lot of people abroad, not only in UK, they are in Mexico, they are in Thailand, they are in Bali, they are everywhere. This is one topic, and the other topic, of course, is the new residency law and the online system and this stuff, because people are not sure what information they get is right, what is wrong, what shall they do, and will they be fined if they do something wrong? And this is actually what Caroline is dealing with every day. Every day on the phone and on Facebook, she is answering questions, and me as well on Facebook. What shall we do? How can we do it best? And all this stuff. And this is what we are helping people, and not only members, but of course special services, like for example Caroline gives them help on the computer how to apply online for the residency, because some people simply don't know it, or they don't have a scanner at home. So she is helping them personally, and of course this service can only be done for members, because otherwise she would be busy 24/7.
Of course.
Yes, I'm running a service every Wednesday and every Friday. You can come on Fridays from 3 o'clock through till 6 o'clock. And if you have problems with your online residency, I can help you get registered. I can help you to get to the stage of a first police appointment.
You said Wednesday and Friday.
Both Wednesday and Friday. So I go to Sultan's on a Wednesday.
The
And on
places you
Friday, I go
mentioned
to Blue
before.
Song Restaurant. On Friday, I start at 3 o'clock, whereas the main session at Blue Song doesn't start until 4. So I come an hour earlier for people who want assistance, because generally I'm busy the whole 3 hours helping with people. But basically, we're providing people who are not very familiar with computers, people who don't really understand the process. We're helping them to get them registered. All they need to do is bring with them their passport and their Mukhtar's letter, and we can get them registered on the system, their usernames and passwords created, and a police appointment at the police station. And then hopefully once they've got that far, the rest of it they should be able to follow through on the online system. But I'm also there to give advice if people have problems along the way or things don't go as they're expecting. The online system is better than it was when it was first launched on the 12th of June. Changes are being made all the time, tweaks so that it runs more smoothly. And whereas at the beginning quite a lot of people struggled to get on the system because there were problems and it wasn't accepting people's data, this is happening much less frequently now. I notice that most people I can register. The main issue that we encounter, where unfortunately we will have to send people to Lefkosha to resolve, is where for some reason the passport number the system thinks you're not in the country, and you cannot do residency from outside of the country. So in that instance, they have to go to Lefkosha to resolve it. But most people we can get through to the police stage without.
But still, they need to go to Lefkosha to pick up their passport on this.
No,
right now.
no longer.
This has changed.
The system has changed. So once you have a police appointment, it's a timed appointment. You just turn up at the main police station. It's a short appointment. Maybe you are only 15 minutes in total in the police station. No queuing like you used to do in the past. After that, you are prompted to pay your health insurance online. You pay for your health insurance, then the system is evaluated, your application is evaluated at the İçişleri Bakanlığı, the Interior Ministry, and then you will be notified 3 to 4 weeks later that your application has been successful. You're asked to pay the residency fee online, and then within an hour of that paying the fee online, you can then download your residence permit.
How much is the residence fee right now?
The residence fee is 468 Turkish lira for the residence fee, but you also have to pay a fee for the health. The health has gone
Around 200, I think. 200.
no 300 and
380 something.
I think
at
it's
the moment.
386.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was 130 for years.
Oh yeah, this is years
After
ago.
it became 205 or 6.
It changed in April. It was 350. It changed in April. I think it's gone up to 368. But it covers, say, 1 full year of insurance.
Insurance, because the insurance is included. That's why. Because before we didn't have health insurance.
Yes, no. This is health insurance from the state hospital, which covers you from any accident or emergency. So that's what's covered within that cost.
I would like to ask you, before coming to Northern Cyprus, first, Ralph will start. What did you do? Did you come from Germany or did you come from any other country?
No, I came from Germany. But to tell everything I did in my life, the time wouldn't be enough today, but the three major steps were...
You will come one more time. We'll speak just about your life, I promise.
Well, after school I went to the army for 12 years. Then I studied computer science. The army paid, thanks God. It was 3 years I studied. And then I worked for a big French computer company in the board of directors after a short time for another 10 years. And then I had my own enterprise with 2 shops for motorcycles and accessories, and a biker restaurant, a diner. That's what I did. And when this became too much, I decided to come to Cyprus.
And why Northern Cyprus?
Just by chance, because my late wife and I, we didn't have a holiday for years and years because she had a business on her own. I had my business on my own. And one day I said, we have to make a holiday. And the motorcycle business in winter is not very busy. So I said, we go in January. And I just did read an article in a German magazine about Northern Cyprus, which was, of course, 20 years ago. It said there are only goats and sheep there
And donkeys.
donkeys and nothing else, which was actually not true. But, and my wife said, this is funny because I had a customer today who talked about Northern Cyprus as well. And I said, okay, then let's go there for 2 weeks.
Check.
Let's check it. And this was the days before all you did. Travel is not online. You went to a travel agency. That's what we did. And she came with a catalog from Turkey and from South Cyprus. And I said, no, I want to go to North Cyprus. And she looked puzzled and said, well, I don't find it in the catalog. But there was one big travel operator in Germany who is specialized in Turkish holidays, but he had some pages of Northern Cyprus in his catalog, and I said, that's where I want to go. So we came here, and it was end of January, but the weather was brilliant. for Germans, of course, because we come from minus degrees to 15, 20 degrees plus, and they said, oh, this would be a place I would like to live. And my wife said in those days, she said, yeah, then let's do it. So we came back and did it. And 1.5 years later, we moved.
Really?
That's how it was, yeah.
So, as you said, 15, 16 years ago, 2004.
2004, yeah.
Yeah, and Caroline, you?
My history, I worked for a very long time for British Telecom. I was responsible for broadband in the UK. In 2004, I got very fed up with the world and decided to throw in my job. I went to do a master's in Near East archaeology, so I focused on this part of the world and fully planned to work as an archaeologist and to give up my telecoms profession altogether. However, the day I left my studies, I was called by British Telecom and they said to me, how would you like to do 3-4 months consultancy in Turkey? And I thought, I need some money. I've been a student for 2 years. This is not, this would be a good idea. So
And
I went to Turkey.
the army didn't pay in your case?
2.5 years later, I was still working in Turkey, and I subsequently went on to work in some other places in this region before returning to the UK. But I wanted to live in this part of the world, originally Turkey, but I came here on holiday. I'd never been here before, and I thought maybe this is a good compromise. I came on my own. I didn't know anybody in Northern Cyprus when I came, and I just
And now you know
came.
so many people
Now I
that
know
your
lots
phone
of
never
people.
stops, probably. Okay, all of us have their own stories of coming to Northern Cyprus. It's just my general question to my guests, why Northern Cyprus? I have my own story, but this is not a program about me. So let's speak about your repatriation flight. You were on the first flight. I remember that very well. I remember that flight very well, and what hardships people came through. And I called you a couple of days later when you came, and we spoke over the phone. But tell me, why did you try so hard to get into the first repatriation flight? Is it because of the great love for the island, or you were just scared that the country could be blocked again?
Well, first of all, I think it was not only the first repatriation flight, it was the first and only repatriation flight for foreigners. There have been several flights before, but for TRNC citizens.
For citizens. Yeah,
Citizens
you're right.
only. So, yeah, and there was a person called Catherine Hayes. She was stuck in UK. She went back only for a few days before they closed the border here to help a friend who was very sick and dying there. So she went to visit her. And then the borders were closed and she was stuck in UK, and she thought it would be a good idea to establish a Facebook group to see how many people
Are stuck in
different countries. But it was the most of them were stuck in UK. I and my partner, we were
a bit
further.
Just a bit, in Australia, in
Well,
different part of the world.
Anyway.
We had a lot of people stuck in lots of different countries, but the focus has generally been on the people in the UK. But I had maybe 60, 70 people who were stuck in different countries other than the UK.
My God.
Yeah, and then Australia, all the airlines stopped flying out of Australia, so we couldn't get out, nowhere. And we were there for 2.5 months here, and
By then, before the lockdown, you mean? Or,
yeah,
or after
we
the
were
lockdown?
in Australia. We came to Australia beginning of January. First we went to UK over the holidays, over Christmas and New Year to visit the family, and then we went to Australia, then New Zealand, back to Australia, traveled a lot in Australia and wanted to come back, as I said before, on the 16th of March, which never happened because 12th of March they shut down the borders here. So we had to spend another 2.5 months, but you never know when you're stuck abroad. Every day you think, yeah, maybe tomorrow, and then you get the news and they say, no, not before end of June, and then they said not before end of July. So all your dreams break. You think, oh my God, how long will I be stranded here?
Yeah.
So in the end, I got an email from Emirates. We didn't actually fly Emirates, we flew Qantas, but I'm customer of Emirates, and so I get their emails regularly. And they said, we start flying out of Australia again, but only certain destinations, like, for example, London Heathrow. And I said to my partner, well, we should do this now. We know that is
Now or never.
we knew that there was a repatriation flight for foreigners planned. We didn't know if it would happen, but I said this is the only chance to go back as quick as possible to TRNC, because our only home is here.
Yeah.
I don't have a house in Germany any longer, and my partner doesn't have a house in UK any longer. Our only home is TRNC.
And by the way, where did you stay in Australia? Was it a hotel, a rented house?
In the end, the 2.5 months, they were in lockdown as well. Not like TRNC. For example, they locked down the bars, restaurants, all the social meeting points. But the supermarkets were, of course, open. Barbershops were open. You could get a haircut.
You didn't have here like a tree, because here.
And you were allowed in a
There were many
radius
jokes.
of 50 kilometers to go by car, and not actually sightseeing was not allowed, but we did it. I said, okay, I cannot. We had a nice bungalow, which was good, so we had enough space for us, which was, of course, not
Well,
cheap.
you had to pay for it.
Of course we had to pay for
all
it.
this time of
The
stay.
landlord, when he learned about our situation, he said immediately, and this is how Australian people are, he said immediately, you don't know how long you will stay here, but I will take it off the internet. You can stay here as long as you want, and I go down with the rent by 50%.
That's very good.
Which was still
You were
money to
lucky
pay
about
because we
this.
needed a
Yes,
rental
but
car as
still.
well. But the rental car company did the same.
Wow.
I sent them an email, said, I don't know how long I need your car. In the end, it was 2.5 months. And they came back immediately, said, 50%. We go down.
Very good country.
When I had a rental car then, for 2 weeks in UK before we had our flight, they didn't tell me 50%.
Really?
You pay the full price. That's the difference between Australia and other countries. The people are so friendly and so relaxed. You will not find this in another country. I've been to Asia, to Thailand. They are friendly as well. But not in the way Australians and Kiwis are, the New Zealanders. They are just naturally friendly. They don't want to sell you something. They are just friendly. And
That's very good.
when you go somewhere, the first thing is no worries. Instead of hello or how are you, the standard phrase is no worries.
That's
Don't
nice.
worry about
Nice
anything.
place. I want to
You
go
are
there.
here. We are all friends like this, you know. And they mean it like that. And for example, I said on the way here, driving in TRNC is sometimes not easy, because obviously some people, they don't have time any longer. I don't know where this comes from, but they are always in a hurry, obviously. In Australia, they drive so relaxed. They drive how they are, relaxed. Yeah, you are waved through and
You know, it was
friendly,
here.
you know,
remember
it was
15 years
15
ago
years
when
ago
you
it
came
was the
here
same
and
here.
I came
Yeah.
here. We came almost at the same
Because-
time. 2004 minus 2006.
yeah,
It was the same.
we didn't have this traffic here.
We didn't have this traffic, and yes, really, people waved you. You can go. People could wait.
That's true.
People could stop on the road. Though still, they do. They could stop on the road, start chatting with each other. But right now, the situation has been changed greatly. But what can we do? Civilization is coming to the TRNC. From the one hand, we want it. From the other hand, it creates
it's
some
a balance you have to
complications
find.
for the life. But I like the story about Australia. I would be happy to go there. So finally, what was your route from Australia to?
Yeah, first we came to Sydney. We stayed 5 days or so in Sydney. I was not, how can I say, Sydney is a beautiful city. But first, I don't like big cities, but this is my problem. And second, I wasn't very impressed. I've been to the Opera House, of course, and the Harbour Bridge and all these things, and we made boat tour and everything. It's all nice, but I wanted to go originally to New Zealand only. My partner said when we go to New Zealand, we have to go to Australia as well.
But she's right.
In the end, she was right. I wanted to go my whole life. I wanted to see New Zealand. I don't know where this comes from. I have no idea. But my whole life, New Zealand was on my bucket list, let's say. And we went to New Zealand after 5 days. We got the plane to Auckland, and we rented a car, what we always do when we are on long holidays. And then we went through the whole North and South Island and back to the North Island. And for me, it was not time enough. It was not long enough, because New Zealand is so beautiful. And yeah, the people as well as the Australians, they are just extraordinary people. And yeah, we went through New Zealand, then back to Australia, to Melbourne, which is also a beautiful city. And then to Cairns, which is in the very north, tropical, very hot, nice weather, a lot of crocodiles. Yes, it's really. You see the signs everywhere. Don't go to the beach here because crocodiles live here. So yeah, of course you don't go. Some people do, mostly German tourists, but it's their problem then.
Yeah.
The crocodiles love it.
Yeah, but I mean now, tell me about your route coming back to Northern Cyprus. So you flew from Australia to England, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we went then from Cairns to Brisbane, and from Brisbane to Sydney. This was our last step. When we landed in Sydney, we learned that we couldn't go back because the border was closed. So we decided, we had to decide either go back to the UK or stay in Australia, sit it out in Australia. And actually my partner Sarah's children said, don't go to UK, it's a bad situation here with Corona. Stay where you are, this is more safe. And so we decided to stay in Australia. But as I said, then in the end we were not sure what the best way was. And when we got this offer from Emirates to fly to Heathrow, we did it. And this was, in the end, I think it was a good decision.
Yeah.
To get on this special flight
Yes.
she organized or
Okay.
helped to organize.
Yes, Caroline, you know much better about that flight, what kind of difficulties there were, and the special part which we plan to discuss is the financial hardships people came through.
Yeah, I mean, the foreign residents organised, we were stuck here. We realised people had a lot of problems. So we tried to find out how many people in this situation, and actually we worked together with a number of the other organisations. So I asked the BRS and Anglo-Turkish Society and Cyprus Scene all to send out a form for anybody who was stranded to fill in and to let us know where they were and what their situation was. And I had more than 400 people on my database of people who were stranded. Obviously the majority were in the UK, but we had people all over the world. We met with Kudret Ozasai, and we were working closely with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And
they helpful?
They were very helpful, because originally the proposal had been there would be one repatriation flight only for residents, foreigners who had full residency. Obviously, there were a lot of foreigners who didn't have residency because they were over 60 and hadn't made an application before the lockdown. So we went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and we explained that basically there were people in three categories: those people who had full residency, those people whose applications had been in process when the lockdown started, and those people who hadn't started making their applications. And these were the more than 50% of people were in these other two categories. And we said, look, these people are real residents of the TRNC. You know, they need to be treated in the same way as people who have their residency. And they agreed that if we collected information about their passports and their COJANs and any other supporting documents, that they would review all these documents and assess whether they believed the people were residents, and if so, that they would approve them for entry. And actually they approved 219 people to return. Of the 400, a number chose not to pursue this as quickly, which is why it wasn't as many people as that. There were actually only 16 people they turned down from the list.
What was the reason for turning?
The people who were turned down were people who actually didn't provide me enough information for them to carry out the checks. There was only one or two people who they did actually reject. So they were very good, and they took quite an open-minded approach to who was a real resident of the island. So once we had that, we were free to go ahead and book the flight. I worked very closely with Cass Hayes, and she did a tremendous amount of work to organise, and I'm very grateful for all the assistance she provided. I would have struggled to have done it all on my own. But we worked with Cyprus Paradise to pull together a flight to come back. And in addition, I've been working individually with people. We had a number of people. We had 6 people who were stranded on the Greek side. They were spent 2.5 months on the Greek side, not able to return. Again, it was very expensive for them. They had to stay in rented accommodation. They didn't know people on the Greek side. They were people who...
Did they have half a price?
No, they didn't get half price. We had 4 people who were stranded in Mersin, who'd missed the last ferry, couldn't get back on the last ferry back into the island. Again, they were having to stay in hotels in Mersin, didn't know anybody, didn't have any connections, expensive and worrying times. And there were people, I've still got people who are stranded now. I have a couple who've just come back from Mexico. They're spending 2 weeks in Turkey in order to avoid quarantine, because Mexico is a high-risk country. I have some people in Nepal who are still stranded. I have somebody in Libya who's still stranded. I have somebody in Dubai who should have got back this weekend. But there are many people from all over who were stranded from all over the world, who had quite difficult journeys. The one I think the story that always touches my heart the most is the man who's had to spend 45 days in Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport.
Where, excuse me?
In the airport in Paris.
In Paris.
So he was stranded for 45 days in the airport in Paris, and this is very difficult, and I'm sure was very expensive.
But why in the airport? You say expensive.
He was a contractor. He was working abroad. He was a contractor. He was trying to return and never got past Paris airport. I've never really understood the background of how at one point I said to him, why don't you go to Germany? If you can get out of France into Germany, then you will be spend 2 weeks and you'll be, and he said to me, I'm not stuck in Paris, I'm stuck in the airport. And at which point I was, but he's now back, and we had on Wednesday we had a reunion event for everybody, open to anybody who has been stranded. It had already. It was Wednesday. When is the next one?
When is the next one? Reunion. I want to join.
And we had nearly 100 people at the event to celebrate people returning, and it was nice for me because it was a chance to meet up with some of these people who I've been speaking to for the last 3 months and emailing with and talking, who I had never met before. And I feel that, you know, some of them almost became friends during this time because we were sharing stories about where people were stuck and how to get back.
So many people became actually united.
Yeah.
Though being separated by the distance, they became so much united, trying to help each other, especially when you are in the kind of communities like you have. Of course, you're trying to help, to advise. So did you advise, and still do you advise people to spend 14 days, let's say, in Turkey or in the Greek side where they quarantine?
I mean,
quarantine.
If you're coming back from the UK now, the quarantine has reduced to 7 days. So, and it's the price of quarantine has reduced to 265 TL per day. So now it's not as expensive as it was. In addition, you need to have 2 PCR tests, so that's another 400 lira. But it's now, the price has reduced substantially and the period of time in quarantine. But people who were stranded in countries, one of the problems that we had was at the beginning when the countries were classified, there were many countries that weren't on that list. Plus also there were lots of countries who didn't have, there were no TRNC missions anywhere near. In the Far East there is no TRNC mission, and when I was talking about people in Singapore and Malaysia and how could they get back, they were having to talk to Doha, which was the nearest mission, and it's miles. I mean, it's nowhere near the Far East, and also they knew they knew less about it than I did, which was very difficult. But so I was saying to people, if you can find some way to get back to a Category A country, because any country that wasn't categorized was automatically Category C and required quarantine, then this is the best thing to do, because if you can spend 2 weeks there, then you will be able to come back easily to the TRNC. Obviously, originally Turkey was a Category A country, so the first advice was to get to Turkey and stay in Turkey, but now. But it's interesting. It changes all the time, and sometimes you have to look at where's the best place or how you can optimize your options.
Exactly. Yeah. What was your experience, Ralph, in the quarantine?
Quarantine? For me, after this time, I just wanted to go home, and this 14 days quarantine was just nothing for me. Really. We were at the Malpas, and I cannot complain. We had a real nice large room. Well, the food, okay, it's not à la carte, it's not haute cuisine, I would say, but it was nice, and it was too much for me. I couldn't eat it because you had breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and something in between in the afternoon. I just couldn't eat it. So you couldn't leave the room. Yes, that's true. But yeah, it was nice.
Really?
And I knew, okay, it's only 2 weeks, and then I am actually at home.
Yes,
and that made it easy for me. But coming back to very shortly to the residency thing, I know that there are a lot of people, especially on social media, and Caroline gets it daily via telephone or emails or something. People say, oh, it has become so difficult in TRNC now, especially for over 60s who had to do nothing before, the years before. I had 12 or 13 stamps in my passport before I became over 60 and stopped it.
And
so now I just have to do it again, but it's nothing new for me. But I know there are a lot of people saying no, and we will leave TRNC because it's so complicated now. I want to tell these people the following thing. Laid back as Australia people are, the government of Australia wasn't very helpful for us. They have a website, and they have their regulations about immigration, which are very, very hard regulations. We had actually a so-called ETA, Electronic Travel Authorization, for 1 year, which allows you to go into Australia and out of Australia within this year several times. And you always get 90 days on arrival, 90 days tourist visa. Our problem was that we came over the 90 days. The ETA was still valid, but we couldn't leave Australia and come back. So how to get another 90 days? So we tried everything. Of course, also the German embassy in Canberra, also the British High Commission in Canberra. They were as useful as a chocolate teapot. They give you, they answered our emails, but they give you links to their websites which have, let's say, common information. They don't go especially into your case, into your personal issue and problem. They just say, okay, click this link, click that link. In the end, we, through our landlords in Australia, we got a telephone number from their local MP, their member of parliament, who tried to help us, but she also said, I cannot tell you more that the immigration laws tells me. She said, I don't think you will be fined if you overstay your tourist visa, but I'm not sure. So in the end we said, okay, what to do about this? We came out, we had to buy an expensive 1-year visa, which we still haven't got, by the way, but we paid for it. The good thing was, when you apply for this 1-year visa, the time it's processed, they give you a so-called bridging visa, so we were not longer illegal. And when we flew out from Sydney in the end, there was no problem. We were on the system with bridging visa. But a lot of people, they either don't know it or they don't have the money for this new visa. There are a lot of young people in Australia, the so-called backpackers, who want to spend a long holiday in Australia before they go to university. They don't have endless money.
Yeah.
So, and we always said, what are these young people doing stranded in Australia? The Australian government on their website said, leave Australia as soon as possible. Yeah, leave is okay, but where to go?
Yeah, sure.
You cannot leave when no plane is flying,
Yeah.
and when the country you want to go has shut down the borders. So
How can
it's
you
easy
leave?
to say leave the country as soon as possible. Yeah, where to go and with what money?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there are still backpackers there who cannot go anywhere because they don't have the money. That's sad, a sad story.
Yeah, it is.
And that's why I say the TRNC system is not complicated. I got the residency, the online. I started the process. Now I have my appointment with the police, but it was relatively simple. The registration is simple. Okay, from one reason or another, it didn't take my former file number. I think I'm not the only one. Some glitch is still in the software. They didn't take my file number. I left the box empty and boom, it went through.
Yes, I mean, I think they have uplifted data which was probably written by hand, and people have made some mistakes in uplifting it
the
or
only
retyping
happen
it. This
every
is normal
system.
in
The
any
only
system.
thing you need at step 2 is, after registration, is a Muchtas-letter, as you said before.
Yes.
And you upload your passport copy and the Muchtas-letter, and then you get immediately, it was within minutes, I got the feedback, come to police station in Gönne, time and date, that's done. And bring this and that documents, it's very clear, it's simple. And it's not more documents that I had to give them before when I did residency 12 or 13 times. The system has not changed very much.
The
Now
system
it's-
has
you mean
not
now
changed.
it's
The
simpler,
document
It's simpler.
It's simpler.
Yeah? It's simpler actually. And in the end, as Caroline said before, you don't have to wait at the police any longer. Be
is
there
very nice.
6 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
to get an appointment with them until lunch. No, you get it. You come there. It's like you said. It's maybe 10-15 minutes. They check your documents and that's it. Another step done. And you don't have to go to Lefkosha any longer, which was another pain in the, you know what I want to say?
Yes, I
No more queuing, no more waiting. You just do it online, and in the end you get a PDF file to download, which is your residency for 1 year. The only thing at the moment which is still not solved, you have to pay the state health insurance. The
Yeah.
system would not accept private health insurances. They are working on this, I know it.
This has changed.
Has it?
Okay.
There is now a question that asks you, do you have insurance? So this has changed in the
So
last
if you
week,
have the
10
private
days.
insurance, you don't have to
You can
get-
make, now there is a
Oh,
question.
look.
I've not answered no to it because everybody who I've helped needs state insurance. So I don't know what the question, what happens if you say you want to put in private insurance, but the question has now appeared on the online system.
Good.
So
This
the main issue that exists at the present time is that you can only get 1 year's
Yeah.
residency.
Yeah.
It is due to be a system development to allow the capability to pay for 2 years. This is the problem. At the moment, the system can only it only advises you what 1 year payment is. You can't put 2 years payment in.
Yeah.
So though it asks you, do you want 6 months, 12 months or 2 years, it can only take payment for 1 year, so you
1
end
year.
up only getting 1 year. But this will be fixed very soon. And I mean, hopefully people whose appointments are later during August, this will no longer be a problem and they will be able to get 2 years.
Maybe after the election everything changes again.
Yes, we don't know. First of all, everything is changing every day right now because of the pandemic all over the world. All the world is being changed. We know this. Second issue, we have the election, so we don't know what to expect. Maybe something will change again, so we don't know. Right now, I want to, Isi Ata Hassan sent you some highs. Thank you, Caroline Rolf and
Hi,
Kaf
Isi.
Hayes, for your dedication in helping residents return and the continued support you give to all the expats. So, Isi, if you're watching us, every time I'm sending you hello.
Hi.
Izzy is
Thank
also a person who really, really tries to help people. And thank you for that, Izzy, from my point of view. You are doing a good job with all this translation business and so on. Because
Yes.
you know translations, you know it better than
Yes,
I. Translations
I do.
from Turkish to English or to Russian or to another, it's not always easy. Turkish language is a little bit different. And the
philologists
danger
don't
of
tell me.
misinterpretation is always there.
Yeah.
So Izzy tries really to make good translations which are understandable. But to talk about this payment thing online, I think there is still the issue, you may correct me, that you only can pay with a credit or debit card which is issued in TRNC. You cannot,
Really?
No.
you cannot use a foreign one. Is this true?
No, this isn't true. There are some people are now starting to be able to pay with foreign cards. I have asked the Ministry of Interior for a list of which cards are accepted and which aren't. Generally, the transaction is more likely to go through if you use a credit card rather than a debit card. The system, definitely more credit cards work than debit cards. But I know that a number of UK bank cards are now starting to work. I don't know about other European cards because I've not met anybody who's told me theirs has gone through or not. But I think they're slowly sorting it out. I mean, I actually, obviously, I have to do residency as well. I had to pay my residency a couple of weeks ago, and I tried to pay. I tested it with about 4 cards, and I couldn't get any of my cards to pay. But I could see that it was talking to the credit card companies.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the payment was failing back when it was returning, and another. A lady who I deal with who worked in systems development, she had been in contact with the bank in the UK and they had advised her it is a fault on the system, not a fault with the banking process. But I'm hoping that they will so they should be able to resolve this issue and all cards will
I
start
think
to
this
work.
online system becomes better and better every week. They are really working on it.
Being in internet and marketing
Yeah.
manager, you can state it.
Yeah, they are really working. And I had to pay my car tax as well when I came back because obviously I didn't have my logbook with me in Australia. So you need your logbook for the car insurance for the payment, because they need the exact date when the first registration was. But it's simple. It's a very, very simple thing. And my credit card was taken immediately with no problem. It's just seconds.
So have you finished everything with your residency, with your
Residency, I'm at the step that I wait for the police appointment. But they told me, when you are as far as that, you don't have to worry about your 30-day visa stamp in the passport. You are covered.
That's
So
good.
that they don't fine you when you overstay now. That's what my last information is.
If you have started the application process, so you have registered on the system, you have a police appointment, so they can see that your application is in progress, then you will not be fined if you go over the days. Clearly, that's important, because at the moment, if you registered today, it depends which region you're in, but if you're in the Guinea region, probably if you registered today, you would not get an appointment at the police station until early September. If you're in Famagusta, it's much sooner, because
What's the difference?
obviously
They
there
have
are
a
just far more people
they have built
registering
up
at the police
a
station
backlog.
in Guinea. They've
So
got a
this
backlog.
is very important information for those who are watching us. If they're coming here right now and they're given only 30 days
Yeah.
and they've started the process, they started, the application and everything has been done, so they don't need to worry. They're covered, and there
Just
will be
start
no
the
penalty.
process.
Yeah.
Just they need to start
Yeah.
the process.
And I asked somebody from the Ministry of Interior when I was in quarantine. I said, I've only got 30 days, like most of the people on this flight who came back only got 30 days in their passport. And I said, some are worried that they will be fined, and we spent 14 of these 30 days already in quarantine, and I cannot go to my muhtar and get the letter because I'm in quarantine.
Okay.
And he said, the answer was simple. He said, when you come out, you still have 16 days left. You only need the muhtar's letter and your passport. Go online, upload the documents, and then you are covered.
Finished.
Finished,
That's
yeah.
fine.
This is absolutely my advice. You don't need all your documents to register.
No.
You just need a Mukhtar's letter and your passport. And once you've registered, you're in the system. It's being progressed. You won't get an interview now, a police interview now, until early September,
Yeah, mine is
which
end of
gives you
August.
six weeks to pull together any necessary documents that you might need if you need to get bank statements from somewhere else, or you need to make sure that your landlord has paid the tax for your rental, or you're worried. I mean, if you have a Kojan, it should be straightforward. You should have these documents available.
If you have a Kojan, it's no
I know
problem.
some
Kojan or contract of
Yes.
rental
If you have a
contract.
rental
Some
contract, as Caroline says, the thing is, this rental contract has to be stamped by the tax
Yeah,
office.
absolutely.
The tax office stamps and say the taxes for this rental property is paid. That's necessary.
Yes, unfortunately, there are a number of British citizens who are renting property which is not being legally registered with the tax office, so they have to get their landlords to actually go register the contract and pay the tax. And maybe this is not.
This is the
it should
legal
be.
procedure.
This is the legal procedure. These properties, actually, the person who's renting to them
Every
should
government wants
register.
taxes.
Should register their property, and they should be paying tax on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And this, it can be done it can be done very quickly. So, within that 6-week period while you're waiting for your police appointment, you should
If
be
you have
able
a
to do
Kojan
this.
or your wife has a Kojan, in my case, it's not my wife, it's my partner, but she has still a property, and she applies for property owner, and I have to apply for being her family member now, which
You
is
need to
also
marry officially?
we don't have to marry. Either you marry, this is one way, or you go to a notar, to a certifying officer, and there is a standard form from the government which says you live together, or you sign that you live together with this person. So both of us went to the notar when we got out of quarantine. We got this letter both signed, notary stamped it, that's it.
Yes.
That's enough. That's like a marriage certificate.
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah, but I am now dependent on her. I am her family member.
Yes, you are.
But the
okay.
thing is easy. As soon as she is registered, I follow with my registration as a family member. You have to put in her number of registration, and the system sees automatically these two people are linked, and that's it.
Yes,
There
and then
was
they're
no
linked.
there was no question. And it was easy.
yes, and once you're linked, then you only need, obviously a family member doesn't need to provide supporting financial information.
don't know.
Because it is only the main
I don't have to prove
sponsor who provides.
that I have the financial background, because she has now to care for me.
You are in the perfect situation,
She
right?
signed for it, yeah? I'm sorry, she signed for it. She will take care for me. Yeah?
Yes. Okay, dear Ralph and Caroline, our time is over. We took even a bit
Oh,
more.
really?
Oh dear.
Yes, instead of 50 minutes, we made 1 hour with you, but it really worth it, because I really enjoyed the conversation with you, and I want to thank you once again for coming here, and of course for helping people who are still trying to get to Northern Cyprus. And as Ralph said, this is our first home already.
Yeah.
As for me, I don't have any property of my own in my country as well, but I do have a property here, and after spending so many years in this country, we do accept this country as our motherland
Exactly.
already.
Yes. Yes.
And we are all happy to live, to stay here and enjoy life in our beautiful island. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having us on the show.
Dear viewers, it was Cyprus today. Once again, I want to tell everybody, to remind everyone that today it's a day of peace and freedom in Northern Cyprus. I hope you will enjoy your holiday today. I mean, those who work, probably they are at home. And I wish you all to have a good day, and I see you tomorrow. Goodbye.